Hey there, friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. I hope you're doing well today. It's Sunday, harvest day. So what you just saw was me harvesting for orders as well as a bunch of consignment. And there are so many pink lisianthus in the field. What I'm going to do is dry them. They look beautiful dried, and they will make really gorgeous, like super full bouquets of dried lisianthus. So I'm not going to be able to harvest those all today. I'll come back out and try to work on that tomorrow. Totally unwell today. Actually have been for the last couple days this is the fourth day of a migraine. But I have to keep pushing through. So that's why I'm out here this morning. But I do want to show you before we go a couple things, because it's been many days since we've been out here. Things that I need to do. Lots of things that I need to do. But then just some blooms that are coming up. So this is one of the surviving zinnias. I wish none of these stems are long enough to harvest. I'm just so sad. This whole bed was supposed to be zinnias, and it would have been gorgeous. But they're so lovely, and it's very pretty to look at, even though they're kind of past their prime. But what I'm seeing is all of the massive amounts of weeding that need to happen. Even though this area is unproductive, like I'm not growing in it, I don't want these to flower. They're already flowered, but I don't want them to go to seed and disperse. I'm trying to knock all this down. So come through with the hedge trimmer and take those all out. But the mums are starting. This one, look how gorgeous that is. It's not even open all the way yet, but this is beautiful. It's a Durango Gold, I think. Now, I'm still gonna get enough stems out of this, but a lot of them have been predated upon, as you can see. And at this point, I've kind of given up. Every trap that I set goes untriggered, mouse traps and mole traps. It's just go for traps. Nothing is being triggered, and they're everywhere. They're just everywhere. So I kind of feel like I have to start from scratch. After the plan for this area is after the mums are harvested at the end of September, we'll come through, mow everything down, pull up all of the weed barrier and roll it up, because we'll use it again, roll up all the irrigation, and then I'm going to silage tarp the whole area for the winter. This raised bed down here, which has lilies in it, is going to be a tulip bed. So in October, we'll come fill it, well, first we'll plant all the tulips, then we'll fill it all the way to the top with soil and cover it with hardware cloth, because the bottom is hardware cloth as well, and then nothing will be able to get in there. I don't think I'm going to do anything with this bed or this bed. It's just going to be fallow for now, because Dylan and I have decided to, see, I'll have to come through with a hedge trimmer and get all this stuff. I wish I had enough silage tarps to just blanket the whole area for 6 months. That would really knock things back for a while. But Dylan and I are going to build 1 or 2 very long raised beds with hardware cloth on the bottom. We have enough lumber to do that. And so we're thinking we might put a bed here, pull the silage tarp back, have a walkway, and then put a bed there. And we might put a bed here, because this is a relatively flat area. It is shaded somewhat by this oak. So we are going to come in the fall. Oh, look at all those beautiful acorns. And cut some of this back again. This was going to be like a greenhouse area, but I'd rather use it for growing space, protected growing space. And we have all this lumber from the old high tunnel, so we're going to utilize that to make these beds. We could do another on this area here, which we might just stack 2 and then still leave this space open. I don't know, haven't completely come up with the plan yet. This area is kind of sloped, and so it makes it a little bit more challenging to put beds there, but it has been under a silage tarp for a long, long time, like 6 months probably, which is great. And then we'll put down heavy layers of cardboard, and then the protected raised bed, fill that with compost, and that will be a really good growing space for tulips or whatever we want to put in for the spring, maybe a whole bed of ranunculus. because I'll have a bunch in the field. I'll have to protect with my life for the gophers. But if we have some that are already protected, then at least I'll have like a guarantee that something will be fine. The dahlia bed is going to have to, the idea behind this was that it would be a permanent bed and that it would, they're just going to overwinter in here. And I still plan to do that, but we're still dealing with a rodent problem. And that's because I used chicken wire instead of hardware cloth. And chicken wire is big enough that rodents can squeeze right through it. So that's what you get. So it's possible that I will pull these guys up. It would be a huge job. Pull up all these tubers once we're done with the season, sometime in October. Put hardware cloth down and replace the soil, build it up high. And then I'll just cover it, leave the bed covered for the entire winter. And then in like May, when it's time to put the tubers in the ground, they'll go in and then it can be a permanent bed because it will be a literal like cage. So that's potentially what's going to happen. The sweet pea trellis, I intentionally left these sweet peas on here. They're obviously very dead. And they have dropped all their seeds, and that was by design. So in October, I'll just pull all this back and it'll just be an empty trellis. But you can see already, here's some sweet peas growing from the seeds that it dropped. So my plan is keep it weed free and the sweet peas will come back on their own next year and I won't have to plant anymore. I can always put more in, but I figure why not just let it self-sow right where it's at, and we'll just continue to use this, and I'll, put new soil and all that kind of stuff, but I think it'll be good. And we've learned through trial and error that the string trimmer is terrible for doing this because number one, the stems on these thistles are so thick that it really eats through the string and the battery to get through. And it flies everywhere. You get it all over you, in your hair, everywhere. It's really unsafe. But we have a hedge trimmer attachment for that same piece of equipment, so it's on a super long handle. That's awesome because it cuts everything off at the base and they just lay there. You don't get things flying around. And then we can rake it up and put it off to the side somewhere and get it out of the way. So much more effective, much safer. We don't have to wear body armor just to try to get the weeds down. Okay, so following up on this bed that you saw me harvesting in, or not this bed, this plot you saw me harvesting in, it is riddled with gopher and mouse holes. Like I said, all the trapping I'm doing is doing absolutely nothing. But these plants are big enough that they pretty much are surviving, and there's enough of them. I guess at this point, it's going to be about planting in volume. The Tweedia. The tallest it ever got here is about 16 inches. Now this, I wouldn't have chosen to grow Tweedia. This is part of the wedding collection that I did that was the Black Knight Scabiosa Orlea that all got decimated. This Salmon Queen Scabiosa, and then we had the Bride Bachelor Button that was part of that too, and the pink Cynoglossum, which I did harvest a ton off of. But I normally wouldn't have chosen these, and for sure I never will again. They're just too short. They're cute, but too short. I literally have not used them for a single thing. So they're only in the ground because they're feeding the soil, and that's all well and good. I got a big order for these buttery yellow Lisianthus, so that's what I was mostly harvesting today. And then I also harvested most of this mountain mint. It's really hard to get it into a bucket because it's so big. This is, like I said before, a euphorbia, and it's got a sap that is very irritating to the skin, but also to other plants. But look how gorgeous it is. So I am going to bring that in for consignment. Maybe people will take it. In a lot of other markets, this is a big seller, so maybe it will be here. But you can see we still have plenty of buds that haven't even opened yet on these yellow Lizzies, which is really great because my final 6-week CSA starts next week. And I was really worried that I wasn't going to have enough flowers, but I think we'll have plenty of Lisianthus. There's still pink ones that are still blooming, and some of them are bloomed out, and those are the ones I'm going to dry, but there's still plenty of stems. So I feel good about that. Need to do more weeding here again. It's everywhere. But this, the wood chips and stuff has really done a good job. There's occasionally a weed that I pull up, but it's really helped to have those in the aisle. So I'm gonna get another shipment of that. We'll get wood chips down before we bring in the load of compost. Yeah, it's gonna be nice to get this all tidied up and ready to have fall planting. So this is Mahogany Splendor Hibiscus. It's a single plant. I like to grow a lot of it, but usually only 1 or 2 survives for me. It's really cool. It's beautiful, but it wilts terribly once you cut it. So it takes at least 24 hours to rehydrate. So when I do use it for bouquets, I have to be real careful of when I make the bouquet so that it has plenty of time to sit. And you can see that the chocolate lace flower is producing more stems, but they're real short because these are like third tertiary stems off of the many, many that it produced already. I cut back the apple of Peru. I mean, even dried, it's really cool. There's the seeds. So it's a really cool plant. It's a shame that nobody wanted to take it on consignment or for orders. I think people just aren't used to it, but I like it. The thing is, it is hard to design with because it's so big. So it's not really good for market bouquets, but it would be good for like installation pieces. And the other thing is it wilts just like the Mahogany Splendor Hibiscus. It is really hard to rehydrate once you cut it. So that can be a challenge. This Black Knight Scabiosa, I've barely harvested on and it's almost done, but that's okay. I'll save the seed. Scabby, I'm not even sure if I'm keeping Scabby in the, I think I am, in the crop plan, but even if I don't grow it here or in beds, I can grow it in other places on the farm, just like wildflower style, and also at home. I did do a major harvest on the Sweet Annie today for consignment. I'm hoping people will take it. This is Artemisia annua, Sweet Annie. Okay, and then the silage tarp is going to remain here until we are ready to add compost and plant in October. This is Mystery Rose Cynoglossum. The bees just love this so much, but I have heavily harvested on it. This is a really good plant. It is in the crop circulation from now on, both the blue and the pink varieties. Produces nice long stems, real nice and airy. It's a great plant. I really am enjoying it. This is the first year growing it, and I will do it again. And then I look back at this Salmon Queen Scabiosa. This is actually the first time I've grown this particular blend. It's really pretty. So I am gonna save seeds for this one, so I don't have to buy them. And there are plenty of seed heads here. Doesn't take much, like one of these single seed heads, probably 2 of these seed heads is enough to plant an entire row of seedlings. So letting those dry. I will harvest more of these. The ones that are like partially open here, these will last the longest. These guys are on their way out. When you see, look, start shaking it and the petals come off. So those are pretty much done. Very pretty, but some of these will get harvested for CSA next week, the ones that are still really early in their development, so that the customers get some nice face life out of them. And then this Shooting Stars, there's one other variety in here. This was Florette Dahlia seed, and these are all open face varieties. They're so pretty. This bed I did line with hardware cloth, as you can see, and they've done great. We didn't have any even top level predation by mice this year, probably because they had this buffet over here that they could go after. But I've been deadheading, and it just keeps blooming, and I'm not even really using them for bouquets. I'm just enjoying them. This kind of wasn't really intended to be necessarily a production bed, but it will spread over time, and who knows what next year's will look like, because they're all going to cross-pollinate. It's just so fun. And it's kind of nice to not feel pressure on some things that are growing, because you're just growing them for their beauty and for what they do for the pollinators. Once again, the camera overheated, so I am just using my phone. Just wanted to show you what's going on in this bed I really haven't been harvesting on, but will be harvesting for drying. Okay, you'll see status in here. Lovely status. Now, I could harvest these, but they're very short stems, except for some of the white ones are nice and tall. So I might get a few of those for next week's bouquets, but the others are just too short to do anything in bouquets other than maybe vase arrangements. However, I have boxes and boxes and boxes of dried statice. I don't really need more dried statice. So this is so funny because I was, as usual, upset that half of the bed of statice got eaten. But you can see there's so much productivity out of just a handful of plants that it's been just fine to have that many or that few. The feverfew is doing a second round, but these stems are quite short. So I might use them this week coming up if I can find a way to get a couple of longer ones. But you know, this is the remainders after the destruction of the gophers, and I've gotten 2 harvests out of it. So, you know, there's always a bright side. All this scabby here barely got harvested. This was white scabby. It just kind of came on at the wrong time. But then we've got some of this beautiful straw flower here. Oh, so pretty. I love this variety. I think it's vintage white. But I do want to try to come in and harvest some of those because those dried are amazing. And even if the stems are short, it's fine because I usually use them in wreaths or on pumpkins. And then we have more beautiful straw flower. Aiden came in and harvested a ton of this for me last week, and it's bloomed again. And these are plants that I thought were just done. I mean, look at the base of them. They look awful, but they just keep pumping them out. So we have a nice selection of colors here. And again, I thought I had really lost a lot, and I did lose a lot to gophers, but it's okay because again, some of these will be used fresh in bouquets, but the others I'm going to dry because I just love them dried. They look exactly the same when you dry them, and they are just so wonderful for dried projects. And finally, the absolute wild craziness of the pollinator patch. Looking rough. It's a classic August look. The Rudbeckia is just going crazy. I have been, this is floss flower agrostemma, and I used to try to grow this in row crops and it just never did well for me. So I was like, I'll just put a couple plants in here. These are seedlings that I started last year and they're looking lovely, and I will let them direct sow. The idea of this bed is to keep it weed free and just let it do its thing from now on. What's in here is going to be what's in here, and it will, all the seeds will continue to, you know, expand, and it'll just get thicker and thicker and it'll look more and more beautiful. So all of these calendula back here, I did a major deadhead and I need to come through again. They're trying to come back. We have some monkey flower, which I love. I can't remember that variety. This is verbena back here. I do need to come in and shore some things up. The borage is done for the year. It's looking awful, which is fine. It's past its prime. I'll cut those down to the ground and they will come back no problem next year. Here's another monkey flower. I'm pretty sure this is cress. And, you know, at this point, ouch, it's kind of dry. It needs to come out. We've got some more verbenas here and a salvia. You know, things are looking rough because it is that time of year. But once we get it cleaned up and get some of the weeds out of here, like this is a weed. Absolutely have to dig that guy up, and that one too. I can't let those proliferate. So basically this is going to be a down on hands and knees job to get these weeds out, and then it'll be good to be alone for a while. All right, so I'm going to take my headache and my car full of flowers home and try to get some rest today. I still haven't started seeds. I was hoping to do that yesterday, but spent most of the day on the couch in pain. So chronic migraine really stinks. So that's going to be it for me today, you guys. That's about all I can manage. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.